Thrones, dominations, princedoms, virtues, powers, for in possession such, not only of right, I call ye, and declare ye now, return successful beyond hope, to lead ye forth triumphant out of this infernal pit abominable, accursed, the house of woe, and dungeon of our tyrant. Now possess, as lords, a spacious world, to our native heaven little inferior, by my adventure hard, with peril great achieved. Long were to tell what I have done, what suffered, with what pain voyaged the unreal, vast, unbounded deep of horrible confusion, over which by sin and death a broad way now is paved, to expedite your glorious march. But I toiled out of my uncouth passage, forced to ride the untractable abyss, plunged in the womb of unoriginal night and chaos wild, that, jealous of their secrets, fiercely opposed my journey strange, with clamorous uproar protesting fate supreme. Thence how I found the new created world, which fame in heaven long had foretold, a fabric wonderful of absolute perfection. Therein man, placed in a paradise, by our exile made happy. Him by fraud I have seduced from his Creator, and the more to increase your wonder, with an apple. He, thereat offended, worth your laughter, hath given up both his beloved man and all his world, to sin and death a prey, and so to us, without our hazard, labor, or alarm, to range in and to dwell, and over man to rule, as over all he should have ruled. True is, me also he hath judged, or rather me not, but the brute serpent, in whose shape man I deceived. That which to me belongs is enmity, which he will put between me and mankind. I am to bruise his heel. His seed, when is not set, shall bruise my head. A world who would not purchase with a bruise, or much more grievous pain. Ye have the account of my performance. What remains, ye gods, but up, and enter now into full bliss? So having said, a while he stood, expecting their universal shout and high applause to fill his ear, when contrary he hears on all sides, from innumerable tongues, a dismal universal hiss, the sound of public scorn. He wondered, but not long had leisure, wondering at himself now more, his visage drawn he felt too sharp and spare. His arms clung to his ribs, his legs entwining each other, still till supplanted down he fell a monstrous serpent on his belly prone, reluctant, but in vain. A great power now ruled him, punished in the shape he sinned, according to his doom. He would have spoke, but hiss for hiss returned with forked tongue to forked tongue, for now were all transformed alike to serpents all, as accessories to his bold riot. Dreadful was the din of hissing through the hall, thick swarming now with complicated monsters, head and tail, scorpion and asp, and amphisbaena dire, cerastes horned, hydrus, and elaps drear, and dipsus. Not so thick swarmed once the soil bedropped with blood of Gorgon, or the isle Ophiusa, but still greatest he the midst, now dragon grown, larger than whom the sun engendered in the Pythian veil or slime, huge Python, and his power no less he seemed above the rest still to retain. They all him followed, issuing forth to the open field, where all yet left of that revolted rout, heaven fallen, in station stood or just array. Sublime with expectation, went to see in triumph issuing forth their glorious chief, They saw, but others sight instead, a crowd of ugly serpents. Horror on them fell, in horrid sympathy. For what they saw, they felt themselves now changing. Down their arms, down fell both spear and shield, down they as fast, and the dire hiss renewed, and the dire form catched by contagion, like in punishment as in their crime. Thus was the applause they meant, turned to exploding hiss, triumph to shame, cast on themselves from their own mouths. There stood a grove hard by, sprung up with this their change. His will who reigns above, to aggravate their penance, laden with fair fruit, like that which grew in paradise, the bait of Eve used by the tempter. On that prospect strange their earnest eyes they fixed, imagining for one forbidden tree a multitude now risen, to work them further woe or shame. Yet parched with scalding thirst and hunger fierce, though to delude them sent, could not abstain. But on they rolled in heaps, and up the trees climbing, sat thicker than the snaky locks that curled Megaera. Greedily they plucked the fruitage fair to sight, like that which grew near that bituminous lake where Sodom flamed. This more delusive, not the touch, but taste deceived, they fondly, thinking to allay their appetite with gust, instead of fruit chewed bitter ashes, which the offended taste with spattering noise rejected. Oft they essayed, hunger and thirst constraining, drugged as oft, with hatefullest disrelish writhed their jaws, with soot and cinders filled. So oft they fell into the same illusion, not as man whom they triumphed once lapsed. Thus were they plagued, and worn with famine, long and ceaseless hiss, till their lost shape permitted they resumed. Yearly enjoined, some say, to undergo this annual humbling, certain numbered days, to dash their pride and joy for man seduced.